right, everybody. Well, welcome back to another episode of the Blazer Victory Podcast. John Duncan here. And of course, I'm joined as always with my co hosts, Jimmy Marion and Darian Smith. And guys, this is week two. Week two has not been very kind to our Blazers. In fact, UAB is 1-6 in week two since the return in 2017. But we're going to claim right now this is the turning point. The tide is going to turn.
Well, while we're on the topic of week two, I didn't realize that the week two woes were as bad as they are. So I saw someone on the Blazer Talk message board said that since moving to FBS in 1995, UAB is 5-22 overall in week two, and even worse when those games are on the road. UAB is 2-19 in week two road games. Now, given most of those games were likely against like power conference opponents,
games,
big games, if you will. But a 2-19 overall road record in week two, 5-22 overall, 1-6 since the return. We got to get this curse out of the way, man.
Yeah, let's get this ship turned around, especially week two. And hey, last year, UAB was unable to win on the road at all, 0-6. So we're going to start this in a positive way, get a road win. And get that week two slump turned around. But before we get started to previewing that ULM game this Saturday, if you are not subscribed to the YouTube channel at Blazer Pod, you get to see us. And I believe we're at 239 subscribers now. So that number is ticking up. So again, if you just listen to the audio, that's fine. I listen to almost all my podcasts audio only. But do us a favor, go ahead and click that link in the show description and just subscribe to our YouTube channel. Even if you don't plan on watching us, it does help us out tremendously. One thing that I failed to mention on the game recap episode of Alcorn State, of course, that episode was brought to you by Cahaba Brewing Company. Next Saturday, September 14th, we are having our watch party at Cahaba Brewing Company as UAB takes on Arkansas. So help us spread the word. If you're on Facebook, go ahead and click on that you're interested in that Facebook event or that you're going. If you know for sure that you're going, more details to come on that event next Saturday. But thank you again to Cahaba. But guys, this Saturday, 6 o'clock, UAB travels down to Monroe, Louisiana to take on the ULM Warhawks at 6 o'clock. The game will be streamed on ESPN Plus. Both programs have met only twice, and the series is split 1-1, with ULM winning one and UAB winning one as well. So, I mean, if you've been living under a rock lately, we've preached almost for a year the importance of this game for this UAB football program and Trent Dilfer and this coaching staff. I mean, in the interlocking of these two programs, with Bryant Vincent, his first year at ULM, bringing over 14 staff members from UAB, and I believe it's 18 coaches and our players that have with UAB ties that are on this roster for ULM. So, Coach Dilfer at his Coffee with Coach game presser Monday really spoke about how this game is reminded him of an NFL divisional game, and it really does have that feel. But I'm going to throw it to Darian, and before I throw it to Darian, we did a very patreon.com/blazerpod, really good interview with Dusty Thibodeau, who's on covers ULM for the ULM Rivals account, our Rivals site. Warhawk Report. So if you're not a Patreon, join that. It was over a 23-minute interview, really great content over there on the Patreon. But Darian, looking at the film of that Jackson State game, of course they're 1-0 like UAB. Does anything pop off the film that what you see out of that Jackson State game for ULM?
I think the main thing with ULM is they have a good running back core. I really love their freshman running back, Hardy. He can really tote the rock, number 22. They have their main other two backups. They can run the rock, number 4. And then we had, whatchamacallit that went to UAB. I can't think of his name off top.
Taven Curry.
Yeah, Taven Curry. They all three run the ball hard. I think Hardy is very dynamic. He came out of nowhere. That should be what the main focus should be at. We know we as UAB fans, we are very familiar with the Brian Vincent offense. I'm here to tell you nothing has changed. Brian Vincent is what it is, but looking at the film, because of the simplicity of their offense, they are very sound. So going back and looking at that Alcorn film, the more I look at it, the more disappointed I was in our offensive line and our tight ends and running backs and our receivers too, and our blocking as far as in our assignments. And then our technique wasn't as, it was like a week one game, even like just doing double teams, working up to the next level. We didn't take the proper angles of, like, I couldn't tell exactly what we were trying to accomplish as we were doing some of the things. So you take that into account, and then you have a player like Malachi Bailey, right? We probably didn't hear his name get called a lot, but it was one drive that himself shut down himself to where it was a intentional grounding that was called on UAB that set us back. Well, on that drive, it was Malachi Bailey that took advantage of some miscommunication on the right side. He forced that. He got a good tackle on the run game off a 3-man twist. He got pressure himself that forced Zeno to throw the ball away. He really was able to, once you get down into the weeds of it, he really had his imprint on his game a lot. But we couldn't see it. But that's because we were not sound responsibility-wise and technique-wise. Like, when Alcorn went into this funky 3-3-5 kind of look where they brought, it was weird, and it was something that we should have expected in the sense coming from hearing BJ talk about Alcorn, right, and talk about how good that their coach defensively, the schemes and what he was going to come up with. Well, it wasn't vanilla. I can tell you that much. When they were in their 4-down look, that's when we scored the most, mostly in the first half. We knew where we were going and we knew how to get there. Once they switched it up and they started doing this funky 3-man twist game, I encourage whoever, a nerd like me, to go back and look at it. It really threw us off in the run game and in the pass game. They would walk a safety down. Guys were going unblocked. We didn't know where our responsibilities were half the time. That's why you see the stall. We still have 41 points, but we had a block punt and we had a punt return. Go back in that second half. We were up 28-3 in that second half. We scored maybe, did we score maybe one touchdown offensively?
We didn't score one offensive touchdown in the second half. It was a punt return. I think we had a field goal.
Exactly. So you just think about that. People look at the overall score, but you need to look at the context and see what the story tells you. There were problems there. And John, you went to the Trend for the coaches, the coffee with coach, and he told you, like, hey, how disappointed he was and why he kept the starters in, right? As a reason why he kept them in. And people was like, oh, we need to switch. No, we don't. They need to get all the work. I 100% agree with Trent. They need to get it. They need to get all the work they needed because you have to be prepared and ready for if different looks is going to cause you that much problems. If I'm Brian Vincent, I'm looking at that film and I'm saying we can just do what they did. Like, they couldn't do anything against a 3-man twist, right? And that threw. And then but against a 4-man, when I look at ULM, they go in this 4-man look. That's kind of what they do. They're kind of vanilla and they kind of do their thing. We can beat that, Can we be sound is what I'm asking. Can we be, because we were physical and we were fast. I think we have the athletes. I think we out-talent them on almost every level. Can we be sound, though? Like, under Brian Vincent, his offense is so simple, it's easy to remember all the rules. Trent is a lot of stuff going on, a lot of formations. Are you able to digest that and execute that and be an effective offense? If you can, I think I like our chances. Their offensive line is not big. They play like the style of players that they want to play like bullies. and they're scrappy. They work hard, but I look at our defensive linemen, I look at our front seven, I say our front seven should beat them. I just think so. That's just looking at this. This is nothing, no scheme, nothing related. This is that I just think we have better players in the front seven. Can our front seven block their front seven? I don't think it's a talent issue. Are we gonna know our responsibilities? Are we gonna, our technique wise, is everything gonna be cleaned up enough? Because if not, they can take advantage of us in that sense. I think we can. I think we will. I believe in Coach McCants. I believe in Coach Mortensen. And I think we can. I don't think their defensive backfield was very good. I think Jackson State took advantage of them a couple times, which is Jackson State left a lot of points on the board. They had an interception that went right through the receiver's hands that ULM was able to score on. They had a couple of plays. They was at 4th and 7. It was about to be 4th and 15, 4th and 17, and they got a crazy face mask. Like it was like they didn't need the face mask, and that gave ULM another shot. That's when it was tied up, and that's how ULM ended up scoring on that drive. And ULM had to convert on 4th down on that drive again as well. Like it was, they got some crazy breaks. They had some drop passes wide open. If you take away some of those silly mistakes that Jackson State made, Jackson State might get that game. So if I'm saying that about Jackson State, I mean, they weren't able to really just bully them. We should win just based off. If you go back and look at that game, you'll see what I'm talking about. You're like, they're not really whooping them talent wise. I think they just made less mistakes than Jackson State did. But overall, I like our chances to get this. We should win if we clean up everything and we get over those road woes.
Jimmy, what are your thoughts on ULM?
Well, first and foremost, I was surprised to see the line open up. What was it at 11? It's moved to 13, which says something. Again, we've talked about. I mean, these are people that are putting their hard-earned money on the game. They're not using the emotion, so they're looking at it through an objective lens. And heck, if you would have asked me before, I'm not looking at it through an objective lens. I would have maybe guessed UAB favored by 4 or 5 points. But with all that being said, I mean, where I just wanted to start was, what does ULM and a Bryant Vincent offense like to do? What do they wish to do? And that's establish the run, right? And what could the UAB defense not do all of this past season was stop the run. UAB defense over 5 yards a carry on average they allowed per rush this past season, and that was last season. We talked all offseason about the improvements at really all 3 levels for the UAB defense, and so there should be some confidence that that's not going to be a trend that will continue. But to me, it's going to be, can UAB stop the run? It's going to be first and foremost, because we know that's exactly what ULM is going to want to do. ULM, I think it's fair to say, at least in my opinion, that the ULM defense faced a better quarterback situation than what the UAB defense faced going against Alcorn State. Some things that I'm also looking at is, if y'all remember early in road games last season, I'll think about 2 as an example. Georgia Southern, UAB's first offensive possession, UAB turned the ball over. And then you think about UTSA, I think it was on UAB's first possession. It was the first or second possession. Trey Moore came through and forced a fumble, if I remember correctly. Like, UAB as the heavy favorite in this game must protect the football, and must protect the football early. Because if UAB can get out into a lead, an early 7-point lead, a 10, 14-point lead, and stretch that out a little bit, that is what's going to make the ULM offense uncomfortable, in my opinion, because it's going to start having them try to do things that's not their bread and butter. So then all of a sudden they're having to start passing the ball more than they want to. So if UAB can protect the ball, they can avoid that early critical game, turnover. If they can get an early lead. I think that UAB has the potential to run away in this ball game. If UAB comes out and has that early moment, even think about like going, it's not going to be anywhere close to the same environment, but Texas A&M, what do? We fumbled like the opening kickoff or the first possession. Like it just seems like there's so many road games of liberty. We fumbled it 4 times in the first half in that ball game. Like we cannot go onto the road and have that early situational turnover that it gives them momentum, and then they just start chunking away, wearing the defense down, making it low scoring and all that stuff. That's what UAB must avoid. A quick stat on turnovers. So last year UAB was 1-5 when turning the ball over more than one time, 3-3 when turning it over one or fewer times. That just speaks to again the importance of keeping possession of the ball. And then lastly, which team can play more disciplined? So this past week, ULM, they were flagged 9 times for 46 yards, none of which were on their defense, 8 of which were on their offense. The first down and 10, false start, illegal motion formation, whatever. So we've seen that a few times.
We were so used to that, yeah.
First behind the chains over and over again. But UAB themselves were flagged 10 times, and we had a couple of those pre-snap stuff, but we also had, 2 blindside blocks, some things that we can certainly clean up. So which team's going to be more disciplined and what will certainly be a physical game, a lot of grabbing and holding, shoving. So which team can, keep their composure is going to be important. So those are just some things that I'll certainly be keeping my eye on.
Yeah, you both said it well. I mean, it's, like Darian said, you got to stop the run. Jimmy, no turnovers on offense. And you're kind of thinking if you're a UAB fan, like, thank God we turned over the ball 3 times against Alcorn State. Because that's correctable mistakes. But you most definitely cannot turn the ball over the road. You definitely can't allow inferior talent-wise on paper ULM team to muck up the game. If you're you're shooting yourselves in the foot, like you're turning the ball over, you're getting pre-snap penalties. UAB, that's what ULM, that's what they'll live for. And this, I believe this game is a blackout game. I think they're wearing black uniforms. I hope we bring the stormtroopers. But yeah, you guys said it perfectly. This is going to be a short episode. This is going to be the real test. What is UAB going to be this year? We 41-3 against Alcorn. Okay, that was good. You still got to play football, but this is the big test. Has that rush defense improved? We all three think it has with the studs we got up front this year and the depth that we have up front. But now let's go ahead and go to predictions. Jimmy Marion, I'm going to let you give the first prediction. What is your official score prediction for this Saturday at ULM?
Hey, I bet that most of the listeners, at least half the listeners right now, are totally projecting me to say that UAB is going to lose in this one, but I'm not going to do it. I'm going to predict a UAB victory, so let's get that out of the way right away. I've got it being close, though, guys. I think that for a lot of different reasons, we won't have to get in all of it right now. But starting with the way that, ULM wants to play, the motivation behind the game, the week 2 woes, I just see it being close. And so I have UAB winning this ball game 27-24 by a field goal. I think it's going to come down to us holding, trying to hug each other and being like, please God, like don't let it happen. But I think it's going to be close. And if UAB is able to hold ULM to under 30, I think it was only twice last year UAB defense was able to hold an opponent under 30 points. I still do believe that UAB has the potential to cover and to have a good game, but I think the recipe for that is an early good start. But again, I got the Blazers winning in a close game, 27-24, and ending those week 2 woes.
All right, Pee Wee, what's your prediction?
Yeah, I think first down is going to be the indicator of it all. If we can get them into 3rd and long, we get them into uncomfortable positions, in which I think we can because of I've watched the film and LD Cox has been a godsend at defensive tackle with everything we have. So we load the box, we stop the run. I think we walk out of there 31-17.
I love it. I've got. Hold on, if you can see. Ah. Oh well, that's a fail in my handwriting. I've got 42.
I saw it.
42-17 UAB blowout. UAB blowout. I'm telling
Love
you,
it.
the first quarter. This is what both of y'all said. It's if we have a freaking turnover on our first offensive series, like I'm gonna be sweating. But I think this is the time. This is for Trent Dilfer and this program to make their presence known, man. And 42-17. I mean, I know ULM is what it is, but if you beat a non-conference Sun Belt team that bad in their home stadium,
that's a statement.
That's a big statement. And
yeah,
I mean,
for us.
we'll focus on Arkansas the next week. But if this team, if everything goes wrong, UAB can't stop the run. UAB shoots themselves in the foot, turnovers again. I very well could see it kind of being Jimmy's prediction, a low scoring. Somebody's going to have a chance to kick a field goal at the end to win, and I do not want to be in that position. I want to put the foot on the neck, Darren. That's what you taught last year. Put your foot on the throat. Show them who's boss. Show them who's talent. Show them why Vegas has them almost 14 points favorites over this team, and just move on.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
Well, any last thoughts, guys? I know this is a quick episode, but our schedules, we had to fit this in today to get it out for you, the listener. So please do us a favor. Subscribe to us on YouTube. Drink Cahaba beer. Subscribe to the Patreon if you have not already.
I forgot that they've been working on us since June or something like that. Remember?
Yes.
So, yeah, that was an interesting tidbit to hear from Trent himself. So he got that on good information. So that's we'll see how that works out.
We'll see how good they prepared for us. But Jimmy, go ahead and send us out. Until next time.
Hey, thank you, Blazer fans. Let's have a good week and let's get this week 2 dub. Go Blazers.